What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of 5 cool mods for Skyrim Special Edition. This is a series where I show you guys some of the coolest or mods that I just kind of was like, hey, that's a pretty interesting or awesome mod. Why don't I tell people about that, because I think it deserves a download. Typically, the series will range from things from weapon and armor mods to something even a little bit more unique like signs swaying in the wind. We just covered one of those. Regardless, the main goal of the series is to kind of help you not have to search through all the different mods being released from Skyrim and kind of just highlighting what some of the better ones coming out in each and every week are. With all that being said, if you guys do enjoy this series, I do have one for Fallout 4 and Skyrim, so I encourage you to consider subscribing. But with all that being said, again, let's just jump right into it. So the very first mod I do want to show you guys is the Amber Armor and Weapons. As you may have guessed, is going to basically add in this new thing called Amber Armor and thus subsequent Amber Weapons. What this actually is a standalone retexture of the glass armor and weapons in vanilla Skyrim. So there are some mods that are retexture replacers. Basically that would make all the glass weapons and armor in Skyrim right now change to look like this Amber one. This one is again going to be a standalone one, so it's adding in new items, not changing anything about the vanilla game. I was never a huge fan of the glass armor. I felt like in Skyrim it kind of made you look like a little bit of a fish, and even in previous Elder Scrolls games it was just a cool armor, but it was a little bit too loud and outlandish for me. I feel like the amber version of that very armor does make it look a lot more grounded while still maintaining its kind of, I guess I'm going to call it heroic feel. It still feels like an expensive and powerful armor, but at the same time it doesn't look like you're a giant fish running around trying to stab people with your fish sword. All around, I definitely think this change is a good one. I really like this new armor, especially because you technically can still use both armors if you only like one or the other. This is just adding another option for you to consider in your game. So up next we do have Skyland. So this is actually a mod I did cover on this very series in the past, but it actually was just ported over to Xbox One, as well as it did receive a rather large update on PC, so I did want to put it on there again just to get the word out. And just a quick disclaimer, in the background you're going to see some clips that I took, but you're also going to see some from the trailer because frankly they do a way better job than I do. What is Skyland? Well, basically it's going to be a massive landscape texture overhaul, to quote the mod page itself. What does that mean? Well, a lot of the dirts and kind of just various landscapes you'll find throughout Skyrim as you're walking around are actually going to have a pretty noticeable texture overhaul after installing this mod. So if you felt like the dirt was a little bit too dirty in the past, now it's going to be a little bit sharper, actually a lot sharper. If you look at the Skyland textures and then look over at some of the rocks or any other textures out there, you can notice a huge difference right off the bat. So what do we get with the new update? Well, obviously it was ported over to Xbox One, and then on top of that, a mountain kind of change or overhaul was also added, just kind of bumping up the texture quality and fidelity of a lot of the mountains in the game. This was done through bundling Real Mountains, a totally separate mod, with Skyland now, so especially for Xbox users, you can just download these together and it's going to make your game look a lot better. On top of that, there's some new palettes, some distance detail, so when you're looking from far away, things are going to look a little bit sharper. All around, this is one of those mods that you just should download. There really isn't an alternative right now for Skyrim Special Edition, and this is going to be the one that's going to kind of just make your game look better overall. In my eyes, this is kind of what Skyrim Special Edition should have been as a remaster, yet we didn't get that. So now we're gonna have to wait for some more mods to help us overhaul the game properly. So up next we do have Longclaw. So this is going to actually add in a sword from the series called A Song of Ice and Fire. So I don't know if you guys have heard of that. They actually have a TV show associated with it also, and that's going to be called Game of Thrones. Although the sword itself has never appeared in the TV show, it has appeared in some of the books in that series. There's actually a little bit of an interesting quest to go and get the sword. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to show it, but basically if you want to start it, go kill a wolf. Regardless, it is a pretty good looking and interesting sword. I do like the look and feel of it. I am personally using the two-handed version, but there also is a one-handed version as well, and it just feels like kind of a bulky and rather powerful sword when you're swinging it around at enemies. The texture quality is definitely there, and one thing I actually noticed that I was a little bit surprised at is how high quality the kind of sheath is for the sword. I definitely enjoyed looking at that, and that's honestly, if you play in third person, what you're going to spend a lot of time looking at, because it's going to be sitting there on your back as you're running around. Even beyond that, I feel like the hilt on the sword is just high enough and high enough texture quality that as it kind of runs into your screen when you're running around or fighting enemies, it does look really nice. I especially like the little paw on there. It's a nice touch. It's definitely quickly become one of my favorite swords mods. I just think it's a very well polished and very well integrated sword into the game. As well, I'm personally a huge fan of Game of Thrones. So now I've showed you all these cool mods, what do you need? Well, you need someone to hang out with and spend time with playing around with these mods. Well, for that, I'm going to show you guys Margery Follower. This is a simpler follower mod. It's not as crazy as some of those fully voiced ones with fully fledged out quests and all that. Honestly, all this is just a kind of good looking, or rather aesthetically pleasing follower. She's relatively simple. You'll find her in Iverstead. And then once recruiting her, she's going to have a few different one-handed weapons, a shield, as well as a bow. She has a few different voice lines. She is custom voiced, but there's no kind of branching dialogue for her. You're just going to have a few little quirks here and there through combat and right after you recruit her, etc. And all around, it's a simple follower mod, yes, but I don't personally like some of those crazy follower mods. I just like a follower that's kind of cool, that'll stick by my side as I play through the game and not make me feel as lonely. So last but certainly not least, we have a mod by D. Magnus. He's a pretty well-known mod author. He makes a lot of pistol mods for Fallout 4, as well as smaller weapon mods for Skyrim. That's going to be the Stiletto Collection. So basically, it's going to add in a bunch of different stiletto style swords. Basically, that's going to be a very thin and quick moving sword. You're going to really be able to swing this thing very quickly and like stab people many times with it. I think that's kind of the point of it in real life. I'm not really sure how it relates to the shoe. Regardless, this is a collection in the sense that it's going to have many different variants of this sword. You have kind of the normal iron, steel, glass, Daedric, but then on top of that you have a few other ones like some Dwemer ones, some gold and bronze ones, and it's a pretty cool mod all around. I actually found the weapons very enjoyable to use. They're pretty well balanced, all things considered. In this video I was using some of the highest power ones, that's why I'm killing enemies so fast, but some of the lower level ones you could attack so fast, so they only do like 4 or 5 damage per actual hit. All around, I found it to be a very cool and interesting mod. I definitely like the look and feel of it, and it's a good mod I think to kind of incorporate into your leveled list. Mods like this, it's nice to see enemies spawning with all these different variants, because I think there's 10 in total of all kind of these different style stilettos you could get, and they're a pretty cool weapon again. So maybe just hand one over to your companion, or use it as a little sidearm when you want to just stab someone really fast and beat them down. That's gonna pretty much wrap it up for this episode of 5 cool mods. I do hope you guys enjoyed as always. I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.